I'm Elton Santos. I'm a reader at theoretical and computational physics at the School of Physics and Astronomy in the University of Edinburgh. I recently moved from Queen's University, Belfast.
So I'm Rosalind. I'm a fourth year PhD student in the particle theory group. So like nice to meet you and welcome to the group. So you just said you recently moved and changed positions to Edinburgh, which has been during the pandemic. So have you been able to enjoy this transition so far? Has anything sort of changed for you? Like how's that been going?
That's right. I would say it's not common to see people move from different institutions, right? I talked to friends and then I mentioned, like, look, I just moved to Edinburgh. Oh, you did? Oh, you did now? Okay, so they the first they hear and they say they get the surprise because like COVID times, right? And then it's not common to people move from place to place, right? Because it's just harder. And the experience has been positive. I mean, apart from all the restrictions, lockdown that have been under since last spring.
I'm just going to move on now to ask you a little bit about if you could explain your research in a very sort of short time period to sort of summarize what you're doing at the moment.
That's a just very broad question. Try to be very specific. Too much. Essentially, I am working on energy materials. So materials they are important to different kinds of applications. That has been for the past 5 years since I moved from the United States to Belfast. So more recently in Edinburgh, my focus has been on magnetic materials. So materials for the next generation, for instance, of storage technologies, for instance, different kinds of hard drives or different kinds of information platforms. For instance, I can give you one practical example, right? So I would love to have my iPhone charged once per week, but that never happened, right? So I have to do that every day. Otherwise, at some point, I'm going to run out of battery. So, but then we are looking in materials and compounds that may be able to use less energy of your battery. And then they can work in similar or even better than what you currently have. Okay. So we are trying to solve problems that are important for the society. I think that's my target as scientist, I would say.
You're talking about how the sort of real world applications of what your research is important. Do you think that's a big motivating factor in your research, or do you think what do you think is the most interesting kind of factor of your research for you?
I think right now I think there are several ways to see this question. So one way is to solve problems that are important for society and then get back to the society and the community what they have been, for instance, investing on us, right? So in the end, all research is supported by the taxpayer, right? That's clear to us. And then I have this compromise essentially to give back to society what society gave me. So then that's part of the answer. But the other answer is also important to look for new alternative or explore what no one has explored before. For instance, explore materials or process that can allow us to have a better life. It's simple, right? But it's very difficult.
Yeah. So what do you think so far has been the part of your academic career that you've personally enjoyed the most?
Well, there are several parts of that. So um, I would say since my undergrad, my grad, and then postdocs, and then a faculty, so has been like entire evolution. So well, there are different phases, right, and different stages. So each stage has its own, I'd say, its own, let's say, time, and then also set of skills you have to learn, and such skills you have to use, and then what kind of experience you learn. So I mean, it's like a block, right?
Yeah.
So,
And so so you don't have a particular phase or aspect of the academic life that you think is
yeah, it's like I don't. I mean, well, I can't talk precisely like each time of my career since I'm my undergrad until as a reader here at Edinburgh. And then like, well, is, for instance, it depends how you look into that, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a reader, so you have different responsibilities, right? So you have students to take care of, you have projects, you have reports to write, and then you have exams to mark, and it gives also a different perspective in research, because I still do things on myself, let's put it away, in the sense that I still do calculations, I still do analysis on my own, right? I don't like to have this position to have just managing people. I don't like that. And I really like to work with my students, right? Taking codes and then analysis and stuff. I think that it's very
Yeah.
gratificant. I mean, it's get back to you what you learn. But then that's now, for instance, the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, right? But before that, in postdocs, so that's where you're doing research yourself. I mean, like you are still doing the simulations, you are analyzing them, you are writing them, and then you are interact directly with the supervisor. This also gives the good perspective to your research, and also your career is evolving, right? That's what keeping me doing what I'm doing right now. Okay, it gives like the stamina, like to keep driven and then also keep going like without stop. I think that makes the this long journey right now quite special.
Yeah, so that's like an interesting way of thinking about it that I hadn't really been, like, viewed my own sort of life as being. But would you have any other kind of advice for students, especially those that might be just starting out on their PhDs now, or thinking about PhDs, or finishing their degrees? Would you have any other kind of things you've learned along the way?
Oh yeah, I normally tell my students about that. There are several ways to I mean, to take an academic career, right? So I mean, nowadays research it's very associated with, for instance, with competition, right? So that's part of the job. So I have to get used to it, right? So I will not say that science nowadays is a business. It's not like that, but it has some, I would say, some atmosphere that it may be close. It's like you are a research, you're a scientist, you have a job, right? So have to deliver, right?
Mm.
So when you get, for instance, resources from from different, for instance, founders like EBSRC or ERC or, for instance, Department for Economy, of course, in the end you have to deliver, right? It's some sort of a company that's your group, and then you are the manager, you are the CEO, and you have the students are your employees, and then it's that science nowadays, right? So you have to deliver. Why happened that? Because competition is just fierce right now. Okay, so I think a good advice for a young scientist or a young student to do or try to undertake academic career is be happy. I would say the person needs to be happy what they are doing. I would say if you are not happy what you're doing, I think you should do something else actually, right? Because happiness it comes automatically, right? If you are doing things that you like it. No, don't take an academic career if you get unhappy, right? Or you think you're gonna stay 12 hours or 13 hours in the lab and then just waste your time. No, I think you should get no, I want to take 12 hours in the lab, but I'm trying to discover something new or trying to learn how I can I don't know how I can process this sample, right? So or how I can understand this data, right? So give you the opportunity to learn a new thing every day. I do that every day, actually. I try to learn a new thing every day. It has been tough, I'd say, but I try my best.
Have you learned anything interesting the last few days?
I learn, okay, yes. Well, I
That's
learned that on science, I mean, like both sides actually. For instance, on the learn side, that to learn. Oh, I'm sorry, on the research side, I learned that, for instance, if you want to create a magnetic material, not necessarily you need magnetonisotropy. Okay, it's like very technical, let's say concept, but that's what you are currently exploring. I learned that like yesterday.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a nice way of kind of viewing different sort of days and trying to learn new things all the time. Like
That's
it's
right. Yeah.
ethos, I think. So you were mentioning before that, talking about the relationship with students and supervisors and things like that. And I was wondering if you've done a lot of teaching of maybe undergraduates or master students, and whether you enjoy that, and if so, what are your kind of favorite things to teach?
Mhm. Well, that's a good question. I started teaching since my undergrad, actually. Like when I was helping like professors, right, with like homework, or just the professor could not go to the class, and yeah, I can go there and then do give this exercise to the students and solve them and help them. I was doing this like I don't know, 15 years ago, right? Oof, it's too long ago. That means I'm getting old now. So what happened, and then on my postdocs, that's when I get like experience that goes to the classroom and then work as a TA or assistant to the professors, and then help the students directly in the different subjects, physics, right? So quantum physics, quantum mechanics, classical mechanics, right? And then when I step up as a lecturer, right, at Queens, and that's a gift from all this background I had gained in the past. They helped me a little bit, but that there is a big difference that when someone is just driving you, that's essentially the professor, and then when you are in the driver's seat, right? So now you drive people, right? There's a big difference, right? That was like big experience to me. And then I think it was a learning process. I would say it's always learning actually. I mean, since you are a young teacher and then you go to like a more senior level, you're learning new ways to transmit your knowledge, right? Or at least what you know. Some sort of life outside of science. I think that's important. I say.
Yeah, I very much agree with you there. So yeah, so on that note, do you have do you have any interests outside of your research, or?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I was. That's a very nice question actually, because I started playing volleyball, right?
Mm.
Volleyball. I played since I was 11 years old actually, and then I went like for teams, and then got fellowships to go to schools actually, and go to university, and then like I don't know when it was this. I realized I was getting old to play volleyball like 7 years ago. 6 years ago, I don't have any more knees, so my shoulder was also hurting. I like to know, like when every time I hit the ball, it gets some like sort of very painful, let's say, shoulder, right? So and then I was at that time I was in California actually, and then I was playing like beach volleyball like summer almost every day actually. That's why they say when you go to California, don't go. It's very dangerous because you don't get things done. In my case, I could get things done, right? So I'm happy with my postdoc there in my staff scientist position there. But they just because to know like what is just marvelous. But
Mm.
the point is like there, I realized that I was not fit to play volleyball anymore. And then I started cycling, right? And then cycling has been part of my life since 2014, I'd say. So it's had been 7 years. And then that's it. I found myself.
Oh, it's nice that you managed to find something else to replace volleyball with straight off.
Exactly. I do that as I can say, I can do that as a therapy as well. So therapy that when you have that's very nice actually. When I have a bad day, no, I know. Okay, let me correct myself. I don't have bad days. I have challenging days actually. Yeah, so let's put it this way. When you have challenge days, and then you need to just if I like some sort of get your mind out of the office or just think about something else. So I use the bike. I just get my bike and then go cycle for a couple of hours or 1 hour at the time I have, and I come back, everything's clear. Believe me, it happened, right? And then and then the other way I do therapy is cooking. I love cook.
What kind of things do you like to cook?
I don't know what you want.
So I was just wondering, for you're saying for cycling, do you just go by yourself then, or do you do it with other people, or a mixture?
I'm gonna say, well, I do both actually. I do in group. It's okay. We like to get good discussions and very nice conversations as much as you can. And then I do my own. I do more think about it, about my own issues. But I also like it to give a little bit heart to my body on that. So like to keep fit on this. So that's I've also I think that comes from my volleyball time. That
Mm.
when I was playing like competitive level, it's always come it's competitive mentality. people had in the past, they still keep going. Like when they learn a new skills or they're doing a new sport. I think that's nice actually, because then later on you feel about it, like, like, thank you, right? So you take me out.
Yeah, so I was, did you were you always interested in being a scientist from a young age, or did you have any other non-science careers that you thought you might do, like other interests?
That's a good question, actually. I believe, like, if you ask me this question, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, I'd say, what do you like to do? I was, well, maybe I'll be a cook, right? So, like, I go to open my restaurants, like in Edinburgh would be great, right? And then to prepare like some of my dishes there, some delicatessen ideas, and then, but nowadays I'm a scientist, right? So, and then trying to solve problems in society, right? Omnitilizing science, try our best, right? So, but then I would say, I would be. I think I would work on sports actually. I'd say, to be fair with you, I think I would go to cycling actually, like, to be, well, like a professional cyclist, or to work as a coach, or I think that changed my life. I'd say since I learned more and then started to get more knowledge and improve myself, I got to give a new edge in my life. It just because there are a few studies that show that cycling has a very positive influence on your brain, right? So you feel happy. Can also answer the way that Bruce Springsteen, like the singer, the American singer, they said, if at some point people ask me if I need to change my line of work, he said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So it's more or less like me right now. I enjoy what I do, and I spend a lot of time doing that. So for me, it's not really a job. It's I cannot say it's hobby, right? Because it gets you tired, right? But hobby also does the same, right? So I'm more or less like in between that.
Mm.
I love what I do. I think that's very important for someone that want to pursue a career in research, of
Yeah.
course. And then it's even more challenging now with all the problems of outbreak. What makes you a great scientist is just the combination of all these factors that make you unique, right? I think that's very important to people know about it, right? So you have to exceed at least you one skill, at least one. They need more. One is more than enough, actually. But it should be excellent there. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Bye.